Project 7 by Cassandra Reyes, Chapter 15, Excerpt. Caleb drove them to the street corner of 110th, parking in an unlit alley nearby. David stepped out of the car slowly, immediately noticing that it was eerily quiet. He closed his eyes and tried to hone his senses as Caleb watched him. He opened them slightly startled after hearing nothing. With his heightened hearing, he could hear the sound of distant traffic, or at least bugs, but there was nothing. It was almost as if time had come to a standstill. "I don't hear anything at all," he said, surprising Caleb. "I'll take a look around." "Here, take these," Caleb said, handing him some earpods. "What is this?" he wondered, confused. "Wireless earbuds. Put them in so we can talk to each other," Caleb explained. "Oh, cool," he said as he put them in his ears. "Can you hear me?" Caleb's voice rang through the tiny black headphones. "Wow, these things are lit," he replied, impressed. "I'll take that as a yes," he answered. "Can I listen to music too?" he wondered. "I have this dope playlist." "David, focus," he said in a stern tone. "Oh, right, sorry," David replied apologetically. "Anything?" Caleb asked after he crossed the street towards the park. "Nope, nothing yet," he answered. "David?" Caleb said after a moment. "Yeah?" he replied. "Be careful out there." David nodded in reply before continuing towards the park. He scanned the area for any signs of movement, but found none. As he passed by a large tree, he could make out the flashing lights of a police car in the distance. Cautiously he approached it and found that no one was in the vehicle, and there was a flashlight lying under it. When he made his way around the car, he saw an arm on the ground extended near the front tire, then found the cop laying on the street. He was a chubby, middle-aged man with dark, short hair. There was blood soaking up his uniform top. He bent down and held his wrist for signs of life. Fortunately, he found that he had a pulse and was breathing normally, despite having a large gash across his chest. "Hello?" he said, tentative. "Yeah, Dave?" Caleb replied. "I found the cop. He's got a cut across his chest, but he's alive," he said. "I don't see what did it." "Maybe it's long gone," Caleb replied. "I'll join you in a little while and see if I can help." "Wait," David hissed, as the scent caught his attention. It was pungent, but also familiar to David, though he wasn't sure where he had smelled it before. He stood and began to follow the scent that seemed to come from the adjacent street on the opposite side of the park. It started to get stronger, along with a feeling of tension building in his body as it led him down the street. "David?" he heard Caleb's voice say, but before he could reply, he turned to see a nearly 8-foot monster towering over him. Even at 6'3" in height, he felt dwarfed by the massive size of the creature. "Oh, shh," he began before it hit him in the chest, sending him flying backwards to a tree several yards away. "David," he heard Caleb's voice again. "What's going on?" "Ugh," he groaned, catching his breath. "I found it." He stood holding his side as he tried to shake off the pain. He looked towards the creature lit by the street light, heading straight towards him. David couldn't believe his eyes. The creature was like a combination of a human and a dog with hooves, hind legs. Its upper body was like a bodybuilder's, but covered in thinning gray fur like a werewolf. He was stunned and frightened as it came closer, towering over him. "David!" Caleb shouted, snapping David out of his frozen state. He instinctively lunged at the creature, jumping feet first, and managed to hit it hard on the chest. It reeled back enough for David to land behind it and run towards the street. He looked around frantically, not sure what to do. The creature was already running after him on all fours. Suddenly he remembered that he had guns, so he pulled out one and fired it, only to miss its head. He fired 2 more times, hitting the creature's shoulder, but it didn't seem to faze it. The creature leaped towards him, managing to knock the gun from his hand and send him flying backwards. The monster then tried to slash David's head, but he moved in time to see its massive claw tear up the asphalt instead. It slashed again as David was getting up, managing to tear open his shirt and make a long cut down his bare torso. David threw his body up head first and bashed the nose of the creature with a loud crack. He hit it hard enough to send the creature backwards, with streams of blood flying through the air. As David got up and backed away, he reached for a second gun, only to find it missing. The creature's eyes glowed even more enraged as it began to charge at him again. This time David felt his body transform as his fighting instincts began to take over him. He jumped and kicked at his chest, knocking it backwards. Then he used the momentum to stay on his chest, punching the broken nose and mouth, sending teeth flying. He was so focused on punching the creature that he didn't notice the two large hands wrap around his waist until it threw him away. David managed to catch himself landing on his feet, then looking up, feeling rage toward the monstrosity. It seemed that every nightmare experience he had in the facility that had created him had just manifested itself into the creature that stood before him. A new resolve came over him at that moment. He would take it down and everyone involved with it, no matter what. "Come on, Ugly," he growled. "Come get me." The creature began to charge, and David geared up to fight a round two with it. He jumped at him, nearly missing a slash at his head, then it howled as its leg gave way beneath it. David had managed to duck below and kick its knee out of socket, making it lose balance and nearly collapse. He went for the other leg, but the creature gripped his arm, then slammed him hard into the street. The air was knocked out of him as he hit his head on the ground hard enough to send stars flying into his vision. The monster, limping, still managed to jump with one leg, knocking him backwards and biting his chest near his heart. David braced for the feel of the teeth going into his chest when he heard a mild clang that made it throw its head back and howl in pain. He couldn't make any sense of it when he saw its head explode, sending brains, blood, and skull fragments all over the street. Then its headless body fell to the side, bleeding out and twitching. David looked up as Caleb was approaching with one of the silver pistols in hand. "Drop something?" he questioned. "Oh, thank God," David exclaimed. Then his head fell back in relief. "I told you the suit would get dirty," he said with a frown as he helped David to his feet. Yeah, he said as he brushed dust off his pants. "So what the heck is this thing?" David asked as he looked at what was left of the creature's body. "You tell me," he replied. "I never saw anything like this at the facility," he said as he peered down in it. But there's something about the smell that's familiar." "What smell?" Caleb wondered as he walked around the body. David, whose features had reverted back to normal, remained silent with his brows knitted as he stared at the creature, lost in thought. Caleb took pictures of the body on his phone, then removed several large tubes from his pocket and a pair of large tweezers. He started pulling pieces of hair and flesh off the creature, then put them in several more tubes. "I'll share this with my friends and see what turns up." Just then he started to notice the body was emitting some type of steam. "Get back, David," he shouted as he stood, already backing away. "God, that stench," David exclaimed, holding an arm to his nose. The steam continued to build as the body seemed to dissolve away, streams of it flying off into the night air. Both watched for a few moments as the entire body had just about disappeared. "Dang," Caleb exclaimed as he saw the steam filling the sample tubes. "It must have some type of self-destruction thing," David said. "It just keeps getting stranger and stranger," Caleb replied. Then they heard the sound of a soft moan and the distant sounds of several sirens.